Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Hopefully, this sound is coming through properly and I didn't actually mess anything up here. I think it's good. All right. Each show will have a talk about a Linux project, such as Linux distribution, a desktop environment, or an application. We also chat about the news or any variety of topics from the community. Anything that's Linux tech and open source related is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate, Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the Open SUSE project. With me today, I got a fantastic panel, almost. Fantastic panel, absolutely fantastic group of people. I have Colin, Chris, Jinda, Eris, Ben on his iPhone, Bill or Neil or both. And also, who's the other one? You had a dog with you too.
Sully ran off.
Sully. Oh,
so
Sully.
He
Sully's
took off, yeah.
Sully is in and out. Okay.
Yep.
And then of course, Cruz from the warm land of Jamaica. How is everybody?
Excellent.
We're doing pretty
Yeah,
good.
good. Yeah.
Come say hi to the saloon.
Come on
Sully,
up. Sully, come up.
you gotta say hi to the saloon. See,
We don't
There
have
we go.
in this saloon. We don't have a no dogs or cats policy. Absolutely, dogs and cats are allowed in this saloon.
Dogs for sure.
I don't have a dog right now, and goats. Actually, no, goats not allowed. I don't want a goat in here
No,
at
goats
all.
are evil.
Well, they're very playful. Well, be sure to do the straw poll. It's in the YouTube chat. If you have not done the straw poll, it's in the Zoom chat as well. So you can click on that and vote about your experience with KaOS, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So on the docket for today, we're going to discuss that straw poll, do our distro exploration. We'll probably hit some news after the housekeeping and then do our last call. But first, what have you been doing in Linux and tech? Now, I want to actually talk about this because I have the opportunity of having Neil here, which it's been a little while. I just want to say, Neil, thank you for telling me about KRFB on Mastodon. You replied to, I think, something I posted, and then you said, hey, have you checked this out? And I didn't at the time, and then I thought, you know what? I had a need, so I went to check it out, and it's very mature. It works really well. It's smooth, stable, and so really, I mean, RDP would have been kind of cool with the, being able to like reshape your, dynamically resize your viewport, but the VNC is beautiful. So it actually works really well, and I'm very happy with it. I'm using it on I think you said it's my Tailnet. Is that what you said it was? Or ScaleNet?
Yep.
Tailnet. Tailnet. So wait, if you were self-hosting it, would it be a headnet then? Because it's head scale? No, it's not called that. What is it? Isn't it like a self-hosted tail scale?
The
Yeah.
self-hosted tail scale is called head scale.
Uh-huh.
But, you're still on the tailnet of the head scale.
Oh, okay. All right.
if you're on ScaleNet, only happens when you're at scale.
Oh, geez. Yes. Whoa.
Which is coming
means
up
Everyone's got to be at scale.
next month.
Yes.
So I don't know if anybody here is going to scale. To scale.
Oh, sure. I'm sure there's a tail scale conference of some kind.
Yeah. Seems like that'd be kind of a short conference. It's just the tail.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just want to share with you. I'm using Remina or Remina. I don't know how to pronounce that properly, but that works really well. By the way, as bookmarking all the different systems I have to get into, also great for that as well. It's actually a really nice application. I don't know, I had to find that one on my own, but so
Yeah, Remina is one of the older remote desktop client applications that are available from GNOME. I think the newer one is Vinagre, and then KDE's is KRDC. Though, I personally like either KRDC or Remina myself. Yeah.
Well, Remina is great because I didn't know there's KRDC. I haven't checked that one out. But what's nice about Remina is how I can group different different sites. I group those together, and then I have one that between both sites is a specific function. So I've grouped those together and everything else. Anyway, works really well. It's a nice workflow, and also it works along with my Breeze dark theme that I set up. So that also makes me happy. But so what do you think on so Wayland feels like it's that's I think VNC remote access I think was something that was a problem for a while, but it seems like that's all kind of worked out.
Yeah, it's actually been a solved problem in the KDE Plasma space for a while. It's just nobody knew it was there.
Oh.
Yeah. A big part of the thing I've started to experience, like, I've been driving a lot of the KDE Wayland stuff in terms of adoption and usage and the bug reports. And what I've observed over the years is that people just don't know that these capabilities are already there for them to use. Like, for example, Wayland application redirection over a network. You can use Waypipe for that. No one knows it exists. It is a perfectly suitable replacement for SSH-X. You do Waypipe SSH, and it sets up, as long as Waypipe's installed on both ends, you can redirect your Wayland applications over a network. Easy peasy.
Really? Do you have like
Yes.
is there some documentation you can share on that so I can explore that?
Just look up the man page for Waypipe. You should be good to
Waypipe.
go.
All right, hold on. I got to write this down here. Waypipe.
WAY.
PIPE. Okay.
Yep.
And that could be used instead of I would use that in the terminal though. Is that how that would work?
Yeah, so what you would do is you do Waypipe SSH. So you use your SSH command, you just prefix it with the Waypipe command.
Okay.
And as long as Waypipe's installed locally and on the machine you're connecting to, it will automatically set up a Wayland socket tunnel so that your application will render locally on your computer what run remotely on that computer.
Wow. It seems like Wayland's really adding a lot of really cool features with a K.
Oh, this feature's been around for almost half a decade and nobody knew.
Really? I'm just saying, it just seems really cool. Also,
It is very cool. It actually has one nice little capability that you never had with X redirection. You can have it do it as a video stream, which is network efficient over the internet. So if you do Waypipe space -- video space SSH command, it'll set up the tunnel, but it'll do something different. It will make it a video stream instead of sending just raw graphics buffers. And so it'll be way faster and lower latency over the internet.
That sounds like a great feature of Wayland.
Yes.
So, I guess then what would be the point of running it with the uncompressed buffers? Like, wouldn't video running as video stream be more efficient than?
The trade-off is that it's when you're doing it as a video stream, it's lossy, right? Like you're doing encoding.
Okay.
And if you're inside of an intranet, like if you're on a local network and you're connecting to another computer, maybe you're running an application workload that's like color accurate sensitive or stuff like that. And you would probably want the uncompressed buffer stream.
That's really
like
awesome.
if you want to run, for example, a video encoder program on a beefy machine remotely, but do the interface management locally on your crappy little laptop.
Right.
That probably would not want to be video encoded because it would make it super difficult to tell whether the video stream you're editing is actually like coming out right.
Right. So like I could potentially use a crappy little laptop to do like, let's say, video editing on my beefy machine, and then using Waypipe, I could run it through there. That's really
exactly.
cool. That's another thing I didn't know. Waypipe, and I'm gonna put a little like -- video.
Yep. The real reason I discovered this was actually because doing SSH-X for Firefox is awful. It is so slow and unusable that you basically should never ever do it.
Right.
But when you use Firefox in Wayland mode and you use Waypipe, it is super responsive and fast and efficient. And so like that converted me right then and there. That was just like Wayland is automatically better because Firefox is usable over a network.
That's really awesome. All right, I have to like not be distracted though because I want to like run something in the terminal here. I'm like I want to play right now, but now's not the time, Nathan. All right. So that was
okay.
Cubicle Nate yelling at me. Doesn't happen very often. So there's one thing that I do wish I could do. No, actually, I want to wind that back a little bit. I know Pipewire handles a lot of the piping of like the sockets and opening up portals or whatever they are, right? And so that's really cool because like when I use Teams and I have to share my screen a lot, going over like tickets or whatever. It's really nice because I can just open up like one of my 6 monitors and then I can do, you know,
Thing.
it works really nice. So I think that's really great. And then also a really cool feature, and I don't know if you can do it without Pipewire, but screencasting. Have you done that like with a Miracast? So
Yep.
that works. Although it seems a bit slow and ropey, I would say. Maybe the protocol is still being worked on the Linux side. I don't know. I know it's an open protocol, but that means that it should be possible to. So way back in the X11 days, there was a really cool application I used called VertScreen,
Yep.
where I could turn my tablet into a secondary monitor. And I've been
Yep.
looking for a Wayland equivalent of doing that exact same
KDE
thing.
Connect.
KDE Connect will let you do that.
It's supposed to be able to.
Really? All
I
right.
think so. I don't know whether it works, but I know that's supposed to be a thing you could do with it. I don't use KDE Connect all that much because
I use it all the
reasons,
time.
But yeah, but it's one of those things that like KDE Connect is supposed to essentially be the way to do these kinds of instrumentation and expansion. Because you can already use KDE Connect to use your phone like a track as a tablet.
Yes. Well, I use it to control my cursor sometimes as well. Like you can use it as a touchpad. But I don't know, you could use it to... Huh. Well, I have to dig into that a little bit. Because that would be pretty...
Another thing is that if you want to talk about, like, for example, streaming your desktop to a television screen over over a network with like Miracast or whatever, I believe GNOME Network Display, I
Yep.
think is the name of the application.
That's what I used, yep. The Flatpak.
That works fine on KDE or GNOME. It's
Right.
actually desktop agnostic.
Right. The thing is, it was just really slow. Like the frame rate
It
was...
doesn't use hardware. It doesn't use hardware accelerated encoding.
Okay.
That's really the big problem with it. So it's just slow as balls.
But it does work. So for static displays,
Yep.
it's not bad at all. So then I wonder if that's being worked on to give that hardware encoding, because that would be...
I would hope it is. I don't know. I haven't checked up on it recently.
But
I have used it to watch. I have used it to watch a TV show streamed to a television before, and that actually worked acceptably.
okay. Yeah,
So-
I was trying to use it, and it was, you know, on my framework machine here, and it was kind of slow on its update. It was we're talking probably like 1 frame per second was kind of the rate,
Oof,
maybe
no,
2 or
that's not-
3. Yeah.
My last experience with it was more like 15 to 20 frames a second
Okay.
rather than, 30 or 60. But
Yeah, and it might have been the device too. Who knows? Could have been the device didn't like it.
yeah,
But anyway. Yeah, so this is anyway, I think this the whole Wayland Pipewire structure. So it
Yep.
should be like GNU/Wayland/Linux or whatever.
oh boy, you're gonna get some some interesting feedback.
Some hate mail on that one.
Yeah, probably.
Send your hate mail to
And it
Neil
makes me
at...
wonder.
How dare you? No.
Oh,
That's all you, Nate. I don't deserve hate mail for this.
I already trolled him enough today on recording. So
And it makes me wonder, will Mate ever get Wayland?
Oh, that one worries me. I don't. Mate. Oh, no one's working on it, and that scares me.
if we get Mate and Wayland, I want Window Maker on Wayland.
That already is a thing.
See, I was wondering that too, if anybody was working on it, because they haven't put out a different version since
2021.
21. Right.
This is genuinely concerning. Well, yeah, there's actually somebody wrote a window maker written from scratch on Wayland.
They should call it Waymaker.
They didn't, but they called it WL Maker, so it was close.
Okay.
So there was a podcast I was listening to on my way to work, maybe way home from work. I can't remember what it was. I think the guy's name is Brody.
Oh boy! Oh god! You're the Tech Over Tea guy.
Oh.
Is that what he is?
Yeah, Brody Robertson.
Yeah, I think he's from down under, I believe.
Yeah, he's an Aussie.
So Colin probably knows him because Colin lives there too.
I don't think that's how that works, but I would be pleasantly surprised if
Tiny
it is.
place, Australia.
No idea. I've
So-
seen his couple of his videos. I'm not subscribed or anything.
So there was I can't remember the exact thing, but he actually brought up you in the video, Neil.
Oh God.
It was Wayland minus the drama. It was like the way the KDE project handled incorporating some Wayland.
Oh,
function.
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the extended drag protocol thing.
Yes,
the one
that's
for
it.
making the one for being able to drag tabs out of a window or dock them back into a window.
Right. And so the way
The
that
uncontroversial Wayland protocol.
right. Yes. And so I thought it was pretty cool that you were brought up in that. It's just it's just neat to hear when somebody knows.
It kind of freaks me out how often I get brought up in his videos. I think every other video he puts out, I get mentioned, and it's kind of weird.
An unhealthy obsession.
It is almost an unhealthy obsession, indeed.
So how long that protocol has been in place for a while, hasn't it?
Well, so it started development 4 years ago under the Chromium folks,
Uh-huh.
and it got redeveloped 9 months ago, presumably because a year ago I said, hey, what's going on here? And suddenly everyone realized this protocol actually exists. No one cares about it, and it should just land. And so that got done, and I think it was merged like a month ago. But it's already incorporated into KDE Plasma. Everyone else just has to figure out what the heck they want to do to implement it.
So I noticed that,
Chrome,
Chromium does that, but Firefox just brings me a little thumbnail.
yes. Eventually, Firefox will also get support for it, because I think Robert Mader, who's one of the guys that works on Firefox, is interested in implementing support for that protocol into Firefox.
Yeah.
All Qt applications now support it because the Qt toolkit supports it.
Okay.
And well, any Qt application that has dockable widgets or whatever, right? Like that's they will automatically use the protocol.
Gotcha.
So it's fairly broadly supported in a fairly short time, because it actually has existed in limbo for 3 years.
Right. That was what he was saying. That it's been there, just kind of dormant and just not. They just didn't plug it in, and you were one of the people that just kind of pushed it over the edge.
Yep. But it now exists.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I like it. And I use Firefox normally, so I didn't really see it. That was a thing. So anyway, well, very cool. Well, I guess I have some homework to do now. Again, see if KDE Connect can has the ability to be an external monitor or something. And then,
That'd be cool if it can. I thought it could, but I also don't use KDE Connect very much, so I don't know.
I think I would cry a lot if I lost KDE Connect. So it's kind of been like a regular thing now for probably 5 years. Like it's been one of those applications that I would rather stop using computers than stop KDE Connect. So entirely.
KDE Connect's great.
Yeah. The way it
I
notifies
just
me.
haven't bothered to set it up, that's all.
So I put my phone on my tailnet as well, so that I always have connection no matter where I am from my phone to my computer.
That's pretty much the reason why I don't do this, is I don't actually have my phone connected to Tailscale.
Oh, okay. That would be a problem.
I do that all the time when I travel. I connect my phone to my tailnet so that I'm not sitting on. No, it's so that I'm not using questionable Wi-Fi at airports.
That's fair. My problem is I can't connect to said questionable Wi-Fi on airports if the tailnet's on.
So
the captive portal isn't launched.
Oh, you got to connect to the captive portal first, and then
Yeah.
launch the tailnet. That's how that has to work.
So when you have devices on the tailnet, is that tunneled in such a way that it's encrypted? That traffic?
Yes, it's encrypted, but you have to set up a node in your network that can, if you want to do what Bill and I are talking about, you have to set up a node in your network, in your tailnet, that can be used to have all traffic go through it.
It's called an exit node.
Yep.
Right. I've not
And
done that.
I have one in my tailnet that I use so that I can use Netflix when I'm in Europe.
Okay.
I do it because we have applications that are restricted by IP addresses of who can access them.
Oh yeah, that too.
Makes sense.
But for me, it's a very prosaic reason. I want to be able to watch my stuff when I'm traveling, which is the main reason why it's not on my phone, because I never watch stuff on my phone.
Why is that?
Because the screen protector on my phone has warped and blotched and like torn apart a little bit, and so it's actually unpleasant to look at things because it's like, like you see that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, no, so it's just unpleasant, and so I just don't. I used to, but then when the screen protector started tearing apart, and I couldn't get the screen protector to peel off, so it's just like, so I'm stuck with this kind of broken screen protector now, until I replace my phone, which I am going to do this year, because the security updates on my phone stops now. It's been 5 years, so. But yeah, anyway, all that to say, I just haven't had a reason to configure it on my phone. It is totally possible to do it. I just haven't.
Gotcha. So I have my media server at home. I have that on my tailnet as well, so I can then stream stuff from my home.
I do that too. I have a media drive on one of my computers, and that thing has a Samba share, which is exported through the tailnet that all of my computers can access.
You should back that up to your NAS.
I have to set it up first.
And I am. Eris said something in the chat, but I don't use OpenSUSE 24/7. I'm not sure. Did I say something that implied that I don't live on OpenSUSE?
Yeah, you said you used Windows.
Windows.
I did for a while. Yeah, and it was very painful. But when I can't have my computer with me at night, I always have something SUSE related. Just
Oh, good.
Oh no, open source.
anyway, they shouldn't change the logo. But anyway, on that, I suppose we should probably go to the straw poll here. And so if you have not done the straw poll yet, I think it's been thrown in the chat a few times here, I think. But yeah, on your experience with KaOS, KaOS. I think KaOS sounds better. KaOS?
KaOS sounds more fun.
Yeah,
I have no idea how you're supposed to say it. I just kind of go with whatever I feel like.
It's supposed to be KaOS.
Is it?
That's
Okay.
what I was told. I mean, I'm wrong from more than I'd like to admit, so it could be that it is. I think KaOS just sounds cooler.
All I can think of is Professor Chaos from South Park. That's the only one that comes to mind.
Any
just
South
think
Park
it's
references are awesome. There was the was it in Inspector Gadget? Was it KaOS that was the villainy group? Does anybody remember?
Is it
Dr. something.
It was
Dr.
Dr. Claw. I know that.
Dr. Claw, yeah.
Yeah, but I thought there was
Yeah,
like
maybe his organization was called KaOS. No, in Get Smart, the
Get
organization.
Smart.
Get Smart is the one where the
Yeah,
other side-
KaOS, yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
okay. Well, okay, it was the
Yeah.
same
I
actor.
remember that. I watched that with my dad as a kid.
Yeah. Missed it by that much.
Yes, missed it by that much.
I got to watch that again. That was such a funny show.
That was great.
I use that line at work.
Control and chaos.
Yeah,
Control and
chaos.
chaos it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, control and chaos.
Yeah, that's a great theme. That's such an awesome
It is
theme.
fantastic.
That should be the startup theme for KaOS.
It
It
should
should,
be.
right? And we shouldn't use the KaOS logo because the KaOS logo is terrible. So the KaOS logo that the distro has is better than the KaOS logo of the organization from Get Smart. That's for sure. But you know what? The Get Smart theme is a perfect startup sound.
I think so. And the what was I gonna say? I use that line with the president of the company I work for. Just like something just didn't go, like was just a little bit off, and I go, "Oh, missed it by that much." And then he started busting up laughing. He says,
He got it.
"Yeah," he says, because he's like he's in his 60s. He's not far from retiring.
Also, he definitely remembers it.
And he says, "There's only one other person in this building that knows that reference." I said, "Yeah, I know. I say it all the time, and people just look at me like I got a lobster growing out of my forehead, and nobody cares." But Anyway,
That makes me. That's how you get to feel old. Was when you realize even like little references like that nobody gets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think there's lots of cultural references from I think like shows in the '60s, '70s. I think were great. Like I've
The right kind of campy. The right kind of campy.
Yes.
Fun.
Exactly. There's
I
just
was
like
going to say, Penny was talking on her watch before we had talking watches.
I know, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
Penny.
Oh
Penny.
my
Yeah,
God.
Penny had that book. Yeah, in Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Penny's a brilliant girl. Absolutely.
That dog is pretty smart himself too. Brain.
Well, he is Brain, so.
And there's often I wish my minivan would convert into a sports car.
Yeah. I would definitely do more road trips if my car could change into other cars that were cool and fancy.
Yeah. For sure. Wow, that was quite a preamble to the straw poll.
I mean, we're talking about a distribution that clearly evokes of a get smart kind of thing. Like, what do you think was going to happen?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say a good segue would be Go Gadget KaOS.
Right.
That would have been.
That would have been perfect.
That would have been awesome. And in the olden times, the KDE plugins were called gadgets. It's great. Like, there's all kinds of callbacks right there.
Oh my goodness, I didn't. I did not remember that. I remember those. What were those widgets called? That were like it was like
Plasmoids.
No, before Plasmoids.
Plasmoids.
It was the KDE 3
K-part.
days.
They're still called K parts. They're still parts. But like you have gadgets, you have parts, you have plasmoids, like they're all over the place. It's a whole thing, right? So there were multiple layers of references you could have made.
For sure.
So many missed opportunities.
And I think that's one of the things I really like about Linux is because it is community driven. There's a lot of like cultural influence in it, like so nerd culture essentially, and so I appreciate that. It makes computers fun.
All over the place, just like KDE's settings menu.
They have a really cool search feature. So you just go, and then there it is. All right, Eris, sorry about that. A little sidetrack.
So the question for the poll was, how would you describe your experience with KaOS? And the number one answer was, it is okay, with 24%, followed by did not have a good time with it, 18%, followed by Tux Penguin, 18%, not interested in its exploration, 12%, 12% did not have enough time, busy with work, busy with life, and another 12% not interested in doing the explorations in general. And finally, the last percentage is 6% for it is good. Nobody voted other, and nobody voted it is amazing. KaOS is just cool. I did not have any replies either.
So there was some discussion in the Telegram, which was actually the experience I had, and if you saw that from it's from Rick.
I think Ben sent something.
Yeah, Rick and I had the same issue. I couldn't actually get it to finish the installation process. Something errored out in the script, and so that's where it ended for me. I dug into it a little bit, and I even searched around, couldn't find a solution, and so I will say I did not have a good time with it because I couldn't.
It was the format for the hard drive. It did not want to put the grub with that format for the hard drive, so you had to go in and manually partition it the old-fashioned way, and then it would work.
Oh, well, I didn't experience that though, to be honest.
Yeah, I did it in VirtualBox, and then I tried what was it, QU, whatever. It didn't work on that either. Yeah, and then I went online and I went to KaOS's user forum, and they said it was something to do with the extension that extension name for the format it was using. I can't remember what it was. It was X something.
XFS, I think it was by default. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's what it was, and it doesn't.
I remember seeing that.
Exactly. It won't install the grub on it. It crashes when it tries to install the grub. So I went in and manually changed it to XT, EXT4 or whatever, and just did it manually, and it worked fine.
Yeah, so what I did was that I didn't actually like the default of XFS in the first place. So I changed it to ButterFS right from the get-go.
Okay.
But the reason why this doesn't work is that XFS, some time ago, changed their on-disk format. Basically, and Grub's version copy of XFS, their driver for XFS to allow it to parse it and do things with it, is not compatible anymore. So it can't boot on XFS. So yeah, don't do that. So I installed with ButterFS because I'm gonna do that when I can, and I didn't have a problem because this didn't happen.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have happened to get-go. They should have fixed that or something.
Yeah, I didn't know that this was going to be a problem to have because I don't like installing with XFS or X4 in the first place.
Right.
And so I just reflexively changed it.
But that seems like that's a feature that should be fixed out of the box, though.
Oh, yeah.
Well, who's going to fix
Yeah.
Grub?
I must have changed mine to EXT4 without even knowing it because I normally just choose that anyway. So that's probably why I didn't have any issues as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally I just leave the default. So if they would have just made the default EXT4 or ButterFS. And this is just an aside, but the whole system deboot, is that the future that we're going to see here with Linux as well?
I don't know. There are complications around using SD-boot with secure boot because the current UEFI signing authorities are not interested in auditing the SD-boot code and the associated systemd code to verify its integrity for being able to use secure boot. That's an uphill battle somebody's going to climb, I'm sure of it. I personally don't like SD-boot because I think it's too bare bones. I think there's a level of bare bones that is just too much, too minimal. And my experience with dealing with computers that don't have keyboards and have touchscreens or pointer input devices built in, you can manage with Grub because you can tap and it will turn into a pointing to click on Grub's graphical interface.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do anything for an SD-boot menu. Systemd boot is really intended around a philosophy that you never see the boot manager and that you're doing all of your interactions and configuration from the operating system. I don't think that that's I don't think that that's a realistic path to do. And and from my personal opinion is that it sets you up for a bad time when you wind up in a situation where you have to interact with the boot manager. But there are people we want the simplest, absolute minimal thing to get to the boot sequence of the operating system, and SD boot works. There are people who don't care about secure boot, and so SD boot is fine. Again, it's up to you, but I don't think personally that it is going to wind up being the predominant way, but it will likely continue to be a way.
Gotcha. I mean, I have no problem with Grub, but people seem to complain about Grub a lot, and it's
the problem with Grub is that the problem with Grub is how backed up the project is in terms of handling people's contributions, reviewing the patch sets, handling security response, that sort of thing. The current maintainers for Grub all work at Oracle, and they, to the best of my understanding, again, I don't really know for sure, I don't think they work full-time on Grub. And as a result, the amount of patches that are waiting for someone to review and merge them is really high. I know that I think the last time I checked, the Fedora Grub has like over 100 patches. I know the SUSE Grub is similar. And this is actually a fairly common thing among distributions that use grub. And this is the big reason why there's a lot of dislike around grub. It's not just that grub is complex compared to other bootloaders or boot managers. It's that there are hundreds of patches that people have to use to make grub useful that are not part of the mainline tree, and it's been 10 years.
So when you're looking at a distro like KaOS, does that then cause problems with the defaults out of the box and then therefore the user experience?
It means that any distro that uses grub is actually fundamentally not compatible with another distro that uses grub, because you don't know which mix of patches means which mix of features are actually in play.
Oh, wow.
That's a big problem. That is the big driver where everyone's trying to get out of this, is because of how slow contribution review has been in the grub project. Every distribution that uses grub has a different mix of features, and it is impossible to get them to be all compatible.
I suppose the workaround there, that because I mean, like everyone else has tons of time, is the distributions would probably work on a common set. It seems like Fedora and OpenSUSE are pretty close,
Yeah.
so that would probably not be an issue
Yeah.
between those two.
Fedora, OpenSUSE, and Ubuntu share either part or all of the Red Hat grub source tree. So Red Hat has a tree of grub where they maintain their patches on top of mainline grub. And all three of those distributions, Fedora, RHEL, CentOS, OpenSUSE, and Ubuntu, derive their grub builds from those trees. This is not a good situation to be in, but this is the situation we're in.
Well, hopefully it'll be resolved.
I hope so.
So I'm trying to right now install KaOS again, but with ButterFS. I mean, I normally choose ButterFS all the time anyway, because about 5 years ago Neil told me I should, and so ever since then I've been using it. So,
Yeah, because I'm not wrong.
No, you're not. By the way, remember it was about 5 years ago I told you I was setting up a server and I wasn't sure what file system to use, and you told me ButterFS, RAID 10.
Yep.
I think you told me RAID 10 also.
Yep,
Anyway,
I did.
So those same drives on that same server are still running, and I've never had any issues with it at all. And so I think those drives should be replaced now, though.
Yeah, you probably should do something about that.
Yeah. So I was actually thinking about building another server, like one that's a rack mountable type, instead of.
Well, you have the rack space now, so
right,
you could do it.
Yeah. So it might be fun.
You didn't have that 5 years ago. You were also living somewhere else, so
It's true. It was way different.
Yeah.
And then, actually, I don't want to necessarily retire the other one. I want to basically just move it into another location and then have another backup, basically. But anyway, well, cool. What's good to know about the solution was just don't use the default. So I guess it might be advisable for the KaOS folks to just change the default file system to being ext4 or ButterFS. I just use ButterFS. I don't know why people don't use ButterFS.
There is still that fear that ButterFS is bad because,
Because 8 years ago somebody lost some data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A decade ago somebody lost some data.
A decade ago it probably sucked. And
Yeah. Yeah. I remember listening to podcasts where people just kind of just trash down all the time, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm using ButterFS, it's fine. I haven't lost any data. But anyway.
It's buttery smooth.
Yeah. For sure. All right, so I guess we'll get into the distro exploration for KaOS. So KaOS is a desktop Linux distribution that features the latest version of the KDE desktop environment. The first version of KaOS was released as KDE OS in 2013 to prevent confusion between the distribution name and the desktop environment KDE. The name was changed to KaOS or K. It's just K. What is it?
KaOS.
KaOS.
KaOS. Just ignore the A. Just don't pay attention to the A at all.
OS. They should do K-OS. That might make it easier. Anyway.
No, that's why the A is small. It's a lowercase.
Right.
So you slur it. You slur it.
KaOS.
KaOS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cuss out your cows.
Then your cat will be very upset. So KaOS is a desktop rolling release built from scratch with a very specific focus. The focus is on one desktop environment, which is KDE Plasma 5, or I think 6 now, and a toolkit Qt. One architecture, x86-64, with an emphasis on evaluating and selecting the most suitable tools and applications. So some quick rules is the intent is to talk about the different aspects of the operating system and discuss the experience from using it. This is a discussion by which should be objective and constructive. Non-obstructive opinions like "this is garbage" is not helpful, but rather if you say, "I wish it had a specific feature," or "I really need this feature that allows me to do a thing," then you're benefiting the conversation and not just, trashing it. So the point is to highlight the positives, but not to ignore the lowlights of the project. Remember, this is a labor of love for some, so let's not poo-poo on it. So the installation process. So for those that had a great installation experience, or had a successful installation experience, Colin, you said you did. What was how was the installation? How did you enjoy, or how much did you enjoy the installation experience?
I don't really think I can say that I enjoy installations too much, but it's just a process that you need to go through to install something. But I'm very impressed with their launch and their startup. I'm not quite sure what it's called, because it's definitely not called the welcome screen. It's CROESO, Croeso or Creso. I'm
it's
not
a
sure.
Welsh word, I think, or something like that. I think it actually just means welcome. I don't know.
Right. Okay. But I think I'm going to say this straight up. Anyone who's sort of reasonably new to Linux that would like to try Arch Linux, I think KaOS has really nailed this welcome screen in pointing people in the right direction and giving them really, really good information out of the box to wet their feet a bit. And I think they've done a really amazing job with that. And I think it's very impressive, their welcome screen, to be honest, especially for people who are not familiar with Arch. So, kudos to that. That's all I've got to say. I've been using it, the KDE 6. There's not a lot of changes, just a few things different in the settings menu and the way in which you move your panel around, I think, is quite different. But I don't think they've made any aggressive changes in the KDE 6 by the looks of it. But it's quite a good experience. I didn't have any problems with installation, but it was, well, I suppose I could say that the installation was a bit different to most installers. It was different. Let's put it that way. Very busy as well, I'll have to say. But it was very simple.
I have to say, their actual installation process, I liked how they walked you through the different steps, and you could easily go back and forth. I did wish you could click on the tabs at the bottom to take you to those different steps. That would have been kind of cool. Unless maybe I was holding it wrong.
I think you could. I'm pretty sure you could, couldn't you? I don't know.
I just tried it, and that didn't work for me.
So
I'd hit
back. I'm thinking of the welcome screen. Sorry. Yeah.
But I thought that was the installation process was pretty great. Eris, I see that digital hand up.
I just wanted to clarify one thing first of all. KaOS is not related to Arch. It's not based on Arch. It's an independent distro. It uses Pac-Man, but it's not based on Arch. Just to clarify.
Oh, isn't it? Oh, it's not based on Arch.
I was going to say the same thing. It's definitely not an Arch distribution.
Oh, and as far as the installation, I'm sorry, you were saying?
No, go on, Aris. Keep going.
And as far as the installation, I wish they would use radio buttons just to signify that the choices are like one or the other, because there's a lot of switches, and it makes it seem like you can select multiple options, but that's not possible. And if you click, let's say, I think if you click it off, you click something off, nothing happens, because it's supposed to be like a switch. But if it was a radio button, then you would know you only have like one or two options, one or three options. So I think I don't know if that's a limitation with the installer or what's going on with that, but I wish they would switch that to radio buttons.
I just automatically assumed it was Arch because they're using the Arch commands for updating. So
Yeah, that's just
when I was
Pac-Man's used in all kinds of unrelated things.
Yeah,
Like,
okay, all right. That's interesting, actually. So it's independent. Oh, they are independent, aren't they? I forgot about that.
Yeah. Judd Vanette intentionally made Arch and Pac-Man separate things. You can use Pac-Man for all kinds of stuff, like the MSys environment that's used for doing Unixy, Windowsy things uses Pac-Man as its package manager. I think there's a Cygwin distribution that uses Pac-Man instead. There's all kinds of random stuff that uses Pac-Man because the Pac-Man package manager is so dumb simple that it is really easy to put into just random platforms.
Okay. Well, I'll probably have to change my statement and say the welcome screen is still very, very good. So it does teach you how to use the system, I suppose, instead of bringing up the Arch bit. But I think they've still done an amazing job of that welcome screen to get people familiar with the system itself. So, yeah, I forgot it was independent. I just seen those Arch commands and just thought it was based on Arch. But that was a oversight on my behalf.
It's all right.
Arch inspired, I think, would be appropriate.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it.
Arch heritage, maybe has some Arch heritage.
No.
Okay, I didn't say that.
No, there is no relation to Arch. That is actually really important, and Amki gets kind of pissed when you imply that it is related to Arch. So don't do that.
So they're not
Hope
even.
He's not watching today, then.
So like they're not even like kissing cousins or anything?
Nope, no relations at all.
All right, well, so it is legal. Gotcha.
Oh my gosh.
I guess I was inappropriate. I apologize, everybody, for my inappropriateness. That's cool. I will say I tried to install my OpenSUSE Breeze Dark theme, and it did bring in the colors, but it didn't change the icon. So something must be hard coded on that K icon, the KaOS icon. It's all good.
Oh, the mini button?
Yeah.
No.
It's all right. I can fix it. I just wanted to see if it would automatically change over. So the lack of GTK apps. Did anybody try to install Flatpak on there? Any Flatpaks?
I did.
And how'd it go?
And I got a weird error after I installed a Flatpak. Said something about Flatpak not being a user in the password manager or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I've never had with a different distro. It did work. I installed gedit. That was fine. It looked terrible though. It just the fonts were kind of like very thin, and it was like the default. I guess Adwaita, but it was like an old Adwaita look, I think. But it worked. So that worked fine.
The only problem I had with Flatpaks and KaOS is that they weren't very snappy.
I hate you.
Did anybody try using snaps on KaOS?
I don't think you can.
With enough effort, I'm sure you probably could.
Sure. I want to go and package it for myself. No.
Well, you could install Snap as a Flatpak.
No.
And then go from there.
No.
Snap as a Flatpak.
Flatpak install, Snap install, App Image install, KEdit.
I think you are spewing a torrent of misinformation.
You're hurting us. You're hurting us all.
There's a lot of theory and not a lot of practice in that statement.
Yeah.
I tried installing the GTK settings so that I could change the GTK look, but nothing appeared in the settings. I don't know if that's not part of Plasma 6 or if it just didn't work. I don't know. I never got to see the menu, in the settings for that.
Did the menu of things populate within it? Like
No, I could never see that menu for the
Oh,
GTK
okay.
settings.
Okay. Gotcha.
I did install it though. There was a package for that, but
Gotcha.
it didn't work.
Has anyone else experienced a lengthy boot up time with the KaOS? Because I tried it out, I installed it, I run into an error upon installing it, and then I tried reinstalling it, it went through. And upon log booting into the KaOS, it took me about 2 minutes to get to the main page. Has anyone else experienced that time gap?
I noticed that
No.
if I use a display manager, like one of the display settings on VirtualBox, it wouldn't load. Like I
Right.
don't know if it ever loaded. It would just get stuck. And
Yep.
then I did try Virtual Manager too, but that never worked for me. So I ended up using the first setting in the drop-down box for the displays, which I never used for a different distro, and that worked. But I never saw that 2 minute delay. Once I did that, it just turned on right away.
Okay, but I got on it eventually. I must say, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. The distro is very straightforward. The menu is easy to understand and locate the various applications. So it's a really cool distro for me.
With a K. Cool with a K.
Yeah. I must say it's a large distro though, 3.3 gigabytes.
Is that what it was? I didn't check the size.
Yeah.
I think that's just more common with distributions that follow an Arch style packaging, where everything is just shipped in the one package rather than splitting them up across development files and main executables and libraries and stuff as common with other distributions. So you just get more crap on your system.
Gotcha.
That's all that means.
I'm just wondering where Aris was looking for the GTK thing. It's in. There's one in application style, which isn't that where it isn't that? Yeah, it's up on the top right hand corner. It's like you click on a box. It doesn't look like a box though. Configure GNOME GTK application style.
Yeah, I couldn't see that, and I don't know. Maybe I missed it.
It doesn't show up unless the integration the GTK integration KCM is installed. And if it's not installed, the button's not there. But it should be installed. It was on my setup. I mean, admittedly, I decided to do this because I wanted to see how the only other distribution I know of doing Plasma 6 was doing it. I ran through because it was also one of the few that have Plasma Qt 6 Calamares running through it and trying it out. I think it was fine. It was interesting. It was a nice contrast to the one that the experience building in Fedora KDE. The feeling I got from it was that it felt kind of empty. There wasn't a lot in KaOS, and that's fine, right? Its philosophy is to have a heavily hand-curated artisanal package set, and that's okay. It's just very weird to have not that many packages out there.
Yeah, but I mean, like that to me, that was the purpose of the distro, was to show off Plasma 6 or whatever your cutting edge Plasma is going to be, and not fill it with what I'll call general purpose applications. Like, it just wasn't the intent of
it's very clearly a showcase for Anki for what they feel is something that they wanna have, and that's fine. It's just like my only thing I felt like was it felt kind of empty. Other than that, it was fine. It was okay. I didn't run into the problems that other people had because I reflexively changed away from the XFS default to Butterfs, and so I didn't even know there was a problem there. The installation was a bit on the sluggish side, but whatever. Like, it's a Calamares installation. It does what Calamares does, and the end result was okay.
Yeah, I think it's a nice showcase of just Qt applications by limiting your selection to just Qt. This is like a nice way of showcasing the best of Qt. I mean, I need some GTK applications to get along, but so I like having the options for sure. But yeah, no, I think it's pretty cool so far. I'll have to play around with it some more. So, how do you think you might use KaOS? Like, if you decided to go ahead and, for an extended period of time, use it, how do you think you might use it? Could it be a daily driver for you, or would it be more just a something to toy around with?
I couldn't use it as a daily driver. It's missing too much out of the box, and I feel like there's other distributions that are close enough to current Plasma that have more applications that I'd use every day in my workflow, to where I just gravitate towards that.
Yep. I will also add that I just personally dislike Pac-Man as a package manager. So I'm just going to throw that out there and kind of roll with that. But basically what Bill said, plus the trite comment of, I don't like Pac-Man.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think the syntax of Pac-Man is broken fundamentally.
Yep. That's pretty much the reason, as I really, I know what they mean intellectually, but man, building a muscle memory around Pac-Man's option set is not happening. It's just not happening.
Right. I haven't actually used Pac-Man in a little while, but the last time I used it, I'm like, well, why does this even mean that? Couldn't that just be like a function in and of itself? Like, why do you have to chain these different things together to get the thing that you want? Yeah. No.
There's a reason nobody else does it that way. It's not intuitive at all.
No. But whatever. I mean, if you like it and you use it, go forth and just have a ball. Who am I to tell you to?
That's without me.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and then Jay Lee says, Pac-Man does annoy me also. For what it's worth, I just been using apt-get since forever. Exactly.
DNF, yum, apt, zipper,
Yeah.
they all use the same basic verbiage and structures.
Right. Apt install, whatever you want. Zipper install, whatever you want. DNF install, whatever you want. Makes sense. I want to install something. Or search. Can search also.
Yep.
I think you can list also with all of them too, like what you have. You can. Yep. So it's all right there. So any additional thoughts about KaOS? Like anything maybe like some highlights or anything that you might think really sticks out as something you liked about it?
I like to see that it's a distribution that's doing beginning to end Wayland by default. So the only other distribution that's doing this is Fedora KDE, where even the login manager is running on Wayland. So you boot up into Wayland and get into the desktops all in one go. Most KDE distributions haven't even taken the step of shipping the desktop as Wayland by default, much less having the login manager do it. I very much appreciate seeing another distribution being bold enough to do those things and to show that it's actually can be a good experience.
Yep, makes it a lot easier to push your on the login screen your specific screen orientation.
Yep,
because you can push that.
There's
over.
A lot of little things that that work well because it's on Wayland.
So what's the holdback on the OpenSUSE side? Why won't they do the SDDM and Wayland or whatever?
For some unfathomable reason, I know Sean Dunn and I have been working on this. Neither of us understand why the heck SDDM on OpenSUSE is just straight up broken when running in Wayland mode. Like, it doesn't work. We don't understand why it's happening, and we're trying to figure it out. Because it works fine. I'm the SDDM maintainer in Fedora. It works fine there. I do not understand why it does not work in OpenSUSE, and neither of us, and we're still trying to figure it out.
I tried.
There's a CalPult open for it.
I tried running it in Wayland mode, like 'cause there's a way you can in the settings, and then I didn't have a display manager.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand why this is broken, and neither does Sean or anyone else, and we are trying to figure it out. But it works in Fedora because Fedora's been doing it since Fedora 38 by default. KaOS is obviously doing it. They started doing it with this most recent release, 2024-01. But no one else is doing it. Like, even KDE Neon's not doing it. Like, it is actually surprisingly depressing to see how few have actually, like, pushed the boundaries even a little bit and, like, turned on the Wayland modes for things by default. For anything. So to this day, it's basically KaOS and Fedora and KDE on RHEL and CentOS, and that's pretty much it. I'm hoping with Plasma 6 we're going to see a lot more of it because the upstream default is now Wayland, but who knows?
So how long before you think OpenSUSE or Fedora get Plasma 6?
Well, considering what I know, so Plasma 6 is going to be part of Fedora 40. It has already been integrated. When the Plasma 6.0 final release goes out, we're going to have it in Fedora 40 within days. For OpenSUSE, I believe Fabian Vogt has submitted all of Plasma 6 RC2 to factory. So it should be landing in the next few days, weeks. So you should be seeing it. If everything goes as planned, you should be seeing it land, I don't know, like maybe the week after Plasma 6.0 releases upstream. For the other distributions, well, we know that Kubuntu's not getting it. They've decided to skip it. And they're going to stay on Plasma 5, which is really weird. I don't know what to make of that choice, but that's what they're doing. So there you go.
That seems a bit odd. Well, I think if nothing else, this is my thought is it's a great preview of what's to come. Not necessarily a fan of having the start menu or the panel or whatever you want to call it
Floating.
Well, it's to one side. It's to the right as opposed to on the bottom. But
that was a bit weird, wasn't it? Must say.
I mean,
that was a KaOS thing.
I appreciate them, dancing to their own beat on that because if they want to do that, go forth and do it. That's what I think. So,
but you just moved it to the bottom like everyone else did.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I think it's a nice preview of what's to come. I haven't had a chance to really dig into it yet. But so far, I think it's neat to see that Plasma 6 isn't going to be the scary jump that 4 to 5 was. I think that's the part that I think that I feel the best about is that the 3 to 4 was kind of a ride. The 4 to 5 was also kind of a ride, and this looks like it's just going to be an iteration. So that's
it's a feature in and of itself.
Not having a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
For 6 months. It's like the 6 months you don't recommend Linux to somebody for because they made a change. It's like
boy.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep, I know.
Actually, it turned into like 9 months, but anyway. Eris.
I personally prefer my panel at the top.
Oh.
But if I have to have it on the side, I do agree with them that it's better on the right side.
Oh, really?
Because I think it's more efficient because you're going to have the scroll bars on the right side. It's going to be maybe more difficult for misclicking, but that wouldn't be an issue for me. But I think I prefer it on the right side than the left side.
So you're saying you're a precise clicker?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think I'm a lazy clicker, so it's not great.
I like the MX Linux Ubuntu way of putting it. What does Ubuntu still put on the side? I can't remember now.
They put it on the left. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put it on the left. Because I read from left to right, and so for me, it's like that doesn't give me a good excuse of why I want the taskbar on the bottom though, because I don't read from bottom to top. So I'm just gonna stop there.
So what's the big difference between Plasma 5 and 6? Besides the small visual changes that they've made, how does anybody know what makes Plasma 6 better moving forward? Does anybody know?
Yes, it is Qt 6. That is the big change. Is everything is ported from Qt 5 to Qt 6. That's it.
Right. That's it?
Well, there's lots of side effects as a result of porting to Qt 6 that make it better. But really, the big thing is Plasma 6 is Plasma 5 on Qt 6. That's it.
And Qt 6 is like more flexible to do things, or it makes, things easier,
It's
or
just cleaned up. It's just cleaned up.
okay, yeah, all right, okay. Fair enough.
You can see the whole incrementalism thing going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, the big change with Plasma 6, from a user experience perspective, is one most users aren't going to notice, and that's you're supposed to be using Wayland now.
Right.
Well, I noticed that there hasn't been the menu flickering with Plasma 6 as I do get a little bit every once in a while on Plasma 5.
Yep.
So
A lot of that stuff is because the underlying graphics pipeline in Qt 6 is just slightly better.
Okay.
Or much better, depending on who you talk to. But it is better than in Qt 5.
So applications that require X-Wayland, which I guess like Steam still requires X-Wayland for a lot of its graphics stack. So
that's going to be fine. That's all fine.
Okay. And I'm not really sure.
Ron's singing.
There's a lot of care being taken into supporting gaming on Wayland.
Okay. That's good. And so for the most part then, as the Wayland transition continues to happen, there's not really going to be anything necessarily left behind. There'll be ways of getting maybe older applications still.
Yeah, they'll all be. X-Wayland's going to be with us forever. Okay. That's really what it is. Like, nobody expects X-Wayland to go away ever, and so all of your X11 applications, some of them may not function fully because they're expecting X11 environment features that aren't there in a Wayland environment, but X11 applications are expected to run on a Wayland environment in general. Okay. But like things that you will probably not see working is Xembed. Xembed is a thing that doesn't make sense on Wayland.
I don't know what that
probably
is.
not going to be a thing.
What's Xembed?
Xembed is how you draw micro X windows to do system tray applications.
Okay.
So basically, you draw a 32 by 32 X a window that just draws the icon inside, and then the desktop knows that needs to be put inside of a notification area.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. Makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, you're not going to see that on a Wayland environment, like, ever. Beyond esoteric stuff like that, it'll be fine. Like, you launch an X11 application. If an application doesn't support Wayland natively or doesn't do it by default, like Chromium doesn't, if you run Chromium, most of them will start as X-Wayland applications by default. You won't tell the difference. You can't tell the difference. It'll be fine.
Okay. So the only other thing I was thinking is, so there are some old bits of hardware. Okay, what I'm thinking specifically in mind is there's an old HP oscilloscope that was actually Unix-based, I believe it was. And so one of the ways of managing it was you would do a remote X session into it, and then you could actually look at your scopes and everything on your computer, not just on the screen on that. So I wonder, are we going to lose any ability of like that X forwarding? Is that going to be accessible still?
See WayPipe.
So will WayPipe? Okay, so then WayPipe, you could pipe X11 like from an old Unix system.
No, you would still use SSH-X for that.
Okay,
but because SSH-X, It's Wayland's still an X11 server. It's just one that has to run on top of a Wayland desktop.
Okay. I got you. All right. So it's kind of a catch-all shell then. That be able,
Yeah, pretty much. You can do all the things. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
So I'm not going to lose anything. I'll still have when I come across this old hardware that I want to interface with, I'm still going to be able to do those Unixy things.
Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll work fine.
Very cool.
I do that too. I have to deal with it from time to time.
I'm thinking of an old HP Unix station right now, but anyway. Well, cool. Any other thoughts on KaOS before we close this out and talk about next week?
Ron from YouTube chat I had a question. Is Qt6 faster? And along with that, I think another question would be, is it heavier than Qt5?
Faster, maybe. Don't know. Haven't benchmarked it. Maybe. Lighter, somewhat. Lots of code that doesn't need to be there anymore has been removed. Things have been cleaned up. Moving to new C++ standards have allowed the code base to slightly shrink.
Okay.
But you won't notice.
That's good to know. Well, I think more efficient code is probably a good thing. I think we're at a time in our computing timeline where I think more efficient code is probably necessary once again.
Yep.
So, there was something else. So, anything else from anybody about the thoughts? KaOS, Qt6 thoughts?
If you want to know about the history of KaOS, it was covered by Linux user space.
Yes.
And I'll post the chat link in the chat if you want to hear about the history of the distro.
Sounds good. All right. Well, next week is a news flight night. I think I put that down correctly. I should probably double check. Yeah, it's a news flight night. All right. So next week is news flight night. So any news topics that you may have, we can queue them all up. We have in Telegram, we do have a channel, whatever, for news topics if you want to throw them in there. Got a lot of really good ones lately too. That was pretty exciting. But if you want, news, any news topics you want to talk about, that's what next week will be the focus on. But as all Linux Saloon episodes go, conversations tend to meander and fall off topic and, go wherever they go. So it's a conversation, and these are just, I guess, where we stick the tent post, I suppose. All right, for a little housekeeping, I was thinking of, for a future application Appetizer, maybe like the next one, just some thoughts on it. I'm going to throw it out there again, but DistroBox. So I've been having some fun with DistroBox. And there's also, what did you call it, Jinda? It's like
I think it's Box Buddy or something.
Box Buddy. It's a flat
it's
pack.
pretty cool. Box Buddy, yeah. It you can automatically set up a distro box. Use DistroBox pretty much with a couple of clicks.
So there is, yeah. So I don't know if that might be something to think about for the following week. So in 2 weeks, is it just DistroBox or DistroBox / Box Buddy? Is that something that we might be interested? Anyway, we don't have to decide, but it's a thought, because I've been playing around with DistroBox and it's been very handy.
You've been doing that in a virtual machine or on your main system? Or
on my main
where
system.
You've been doing that?
So
on your main system?
So I have this idea where I'm going to basically, all the community repositories of OpenSUSE stuff that I run, I'm going to move those all to a DistroBox, so that when I update my core system, it doesn't take as long. So I can move all those other things away, and then just have my core system be a little bit leaner, and then have DistroBox.
Right.
Use DistroBoxes for like all my extra superfluous items, and then update that whenever I feel like it. Although I almost wonder if like Fedora might be better, because DNF has this ability where you can roll back like package-wise, and I don't think Zypper has that ability.
It does not. Zypper does not know how to track your actions and provide it in such a way that you could undo or redo them.
So maybe I'll take see if I can set up an OpenSUSE Tumbleweed distro box, but switch over to DNF instead. Maybe I'll do that. Can I do that? Is that a thing you can do?
It's a thing you can do. There are Tumbleweed DNF containers, and there's no reason you couldn't do a Tumbleweed toolbox container that uses DNF.
Well, there we go. I'm going to play with that. That's my goal. So there you go, Colin. That's what I'm going to do. And then what's neat is you can actually have an application run, actually show up on your host system's menu, so that you can it'll run that application from that distro box.
Yeah, it's very similar to Vanilla OS, and NixOS was doing the same thing, although they managed packages a bit different, I believe. But I played around with that for a long time ago. But yeah, distro box, you can just install stuff from Ubuntu, Fedora, Arch, whatever you want. Shows up in your menu. Yeah, so it's pretty handy.
So the way I see it, it's like my own flavor of Blend OS with OpenSUSE. With an OpenSUSE,
You get the best of everything.
It's an OpenSUSE blend. So it's
Oh boy.
All right, but if you have any discussion suggestions, distribution, application, or poll ideas, any suggestions you have that for any of those things, send them to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com, or you can hit myself or Eris up with those suggestions in Telegram or Discord. I'm still doing my best to try and like Discord. I really am. All right, so good to move on to the news or open discussion section here. I've stumbled on a thing here. I know it's been talked about before. I don't know if we talked about it here, but I know I've heard about it before. But has anyone here ever checked out distroc.com? Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's pretty fun to play with.
Yeah, so if you have not played with that at all, it's a very easy way to try out a distribution with basically zero commitment. So if you want to try out something, go to distroc.com, and then they have a menu of all kinds of different distributions. You can click on that and you can play around with it. It's not, I would say it's not a very robust way of playing on it, I don't think, but it is a way of playing with those distributions. I don't know how far it'll go. And then, you can try stuff out in a browser essentially and see if it works for you. So it wouldn't obviously be like the full, it's not exactly the full fat feeling. It's a little more of a skim milk kind of feel to it. But nonetheless, it's still a way to try it out. It might be a way of take for a test drive before you maybe commit to it, like on a VM locally. If you don't want to download, take the time to download something, but you want to try it out, it's kind of a fun way to do that. So, Jinder, you said you've tried that.
But yeah, it works. I mean, it's kind of slow, but I mean, to get an idea, if you really want to go, let me see if I like this or not.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Try to download it. You don't have to download anything. You just click it and go, and saves a little bit of time if you know, this isn't for me right away.
Right. So you could right now you could go and check out, for example, OpenSUSE Tumbleweed with XFCE with just a few clicks, and then see if you like it. Or another one I think is pretty cool is Bunsen Labs. It's on there. You can check out Bunsen Labs. It's got a neat logo too. Blend OS is on there, and I'm not sure how long the session goes for. I'm not. So it's. So I say it's kind of like a skim milk version of the distribution. But OpenSUSE is a popular one. It's got a little popular flag on the top of it, so that's cool. And there's also, Spiral Linux is on there, which kind of surprises me. But yeah, there's a lot. So if you want to check one of those out, it's pretty cool. And if that's something of value, it might be a way you can throw them a few bones and say thank you.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So next on my list of exciting topics. So Ring has announced it will no longer facilitate police requests for footage from users. I don't know if if anybody heard that from the EFF.org. I don't know if anybody goes there to read articles or whatnot. But so Amazon's Ring has announced that they will no longer facilitate police warrantless requests for footage from Ring users. So this is a victory in a long fight, not just against blanket police surveillance, but also against a culture in which Private for-profit companies build special tools to allow law enforcement to more easily access companies' users and the data, all which ultimately undermines the customer's trust. And I would say that's actually one of the reasons I've stayed clear of Ring, is because their policies have been, I don't know, kind of garbage, I think, in that regard. So this actually, I would say, right now, I'm not going to just say, oh, okay, Ring, you must be a good guy now, because I still don't trust them. But at least it's a move in the right direction. And is this enough to get anyone maybe interested enough to use Ring if you're not already using it? No. So it's an olive branch, but an olive branch too far away. Too many years.
This is just them saying they're not going to do it now.
Right.
So there's no actual guarantee in the future. Just saying.
Right.
And to answer your question, yes, we have one at
Yep.
the front door.
And do you like it?
Yeah, we do. Except for having to pay for, a plan. We don't have the plan anymore, but yeah, we like it. The only thing we can't do is like go back and look at anything that happened overnight anymore. It'll pop up and say, you must have a plan, to do that or whatever. We did for like a year and then got rid of it.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've looked at this Ring thing too, but I'm not subscribing to anyone. I just want to, if I want to film something, I want to film it local, be able to look back at it, done.
Right.
Why do I need to pay somebody to, that's
could do.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it does have features though. You can answer the doorbell from anywhere,
Right.
So people can ring the doorbell. You can talk to them remotely from wherever you are on an app on your phone. So I think my boss was doing that at one stage at one of his homes. He's moved from there now, but I don't know if it was Ring or someone else. Could have been someone else, but
I mean, that would be pretty convenient to have. I'm not gonna lie. I would like to be able to, when someone is coming into my yard, to see it remotely like that. I'm sure I can set something up. I just haven't done it yet, and I should. So
I can tell you that I have Ring now,
Okay.
but I actually plan on ripping it out. I had Ring when it was Ring before Amazon bought it, and actually one of the things that concerns me about Ring, much like any of the other wireless cameras or doorbells, is that burglars are now using Wi-Fi jammers to interfere with or disable those cameras and or devices before they go and commit a crime.
wow.
My plan is to actually I kind of have, although I work obviously in the IT and the MSP space, I have a rule about not really wanting to do IT when I'm at home. So I don't want to create this crazy ecosystem that requires a super amount of overhead to manage. So my next iteration of cameras is going to be Ubiquiti Protect.
Are those also going to be wireless, or are those going to be wired in?
Those are going to be wired. Those are going to
Okay.
be Ethernet wired.
Okay.
I'm going to drop in some Unified Protect and just kind of host it myself with the UNVR appliance and be done with it. It gives me the ability to straightforward see things remotely.
Mhm.
I mean, I could set it up in Frigate with Home Assistant, but that's just yet another box that I have to maintain and keep up, that I have to stick somewhere, where I can do that right now with a UDM Pro and a few cameras without too much issue. The other sticking point that people tend to have with smart home cameras, because I do a lot of this, is the doorbell. The doorbell is almost always going to be your limiting factor. It's very hard to find a good, reliable, open source or OnVIF compatible doorbell that will always work. I mean, doorbell itself might work, but then the screenshot of the person at your door doesn't work, or the AI is busted and it detects a box as a person, or vice versa. So because I don't want to fight with that all the time, that's one of those things where I go, I don't want to go all the way down the consumer road, but I'm going to go somewhere in between, enterprise and consumer grade.
That makes sense. So I want something that will integrate with Home Assistant, because that's kind of I know you don't want another box to manage, but it's a box that's, for me, the cost of management's low enough that it I don't mind, I guess, what it boils down to. And
yeah, and Frigate with Home Assistant, you can run Frigate as a container on your
Mhm.
Home Assistant box and suck in all your IP cameras.
yeah. So I don't know. I gotta sort of figure that out, the camera situation. I'm sure there's like tons of really easy, low-hanging fruit solutions that I would be perfectly happy with. I just haven't done any because I don't know.
If you need to do the AI thing, the Google Coral chip works pretty well, and I think there's a native Home Assistant plugin for it, and that it's just a USB device you plug in, and it does all your AI identification in your cameras for you.
Well, that actually doesn't sound too bad.
Mm-hmm.
I do need to upgrade my box so that I'm running Home Assistant on. So currently running on a Raspberry Pi 3, and I think I'm pushing it a little bit hard at this point.
The thing you'd want to be mindful of is blowing up the SD card because Home Assistant is very log heavy.
Mm-hmm. Right. I got a pretty large
So-
one on there right now, but I need to do something about that.
I ended up opting for I got a used Dell Optiplex little micro desktop PC that has a 250 gig NVMe drive in it, 8 gigs of RAM. I connected a little Zigbee bridge to it,
Mhm.
and I'm going to plug in that Google Coral thing at some point. I actually have a client that I need to go visit next week and talk to him about Habitat. So Habitat's kind of like a in between a DIY Home Assistant and something that's a little bit more plug and play. So if you look up the Habitat C8, I think it is, it's meant to be a home kind of a bridge that you keep at your house that ties in different things that normally don't talk together into one pane of glass. It might be a little too simple for technology enthusiasts, but for a normal residential user, I'd feel very comfortable putting that in.
We'll have to look that up. Habitat. Kind of like
Mhm.
Habitat, but hub.
Correct.
Very cool. Well, I think I saw some other comments in the YouTube chat here. I think Don Lackland says, if they can choose to change a policy one way, they can decide to change a policy the other way. I'm not getting one ever. So his mind is made up. And then Anna Rita says, ring door is evil to me. Oh, Anna. But she's probably right. I don't know. But anyway, that wasn't a slide against you, Chris. Just continue to love your ring doorbell. It's okay.
The only reason we got it was because it was like $99 at Home Depot.
Yeah. That's how they get you.
But
Yeah. What was the subscription on that? Just out of curiosity.
what is the subscription? Is it? I don't remember. Is it?
Part of your Amazon Prime? Can you bundle it?
No.
No.
It's like 120 a year.
Okay, 120. Yeah.
That's
I
actually,
was just about to log into our account and check.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's not horrible, I guess. But yeah, it's not great.
Right.
The blades are more expensive than the razor.
All right. Well, also in the news, so Gen 2 2023 in review, binary packages, hosting, and dev growth. So the main Gen 2 repository saw a consistently high activity level with 121,000 commits. A slight decrease from the previous year. Notably, contributions from external authors rose to 10,708 across 440 unique contributors, signaling a growing and engaging community. Despite the slight dip in commits, Guru, Gen 2's user curated repository, also witnessed active participation. The number of contributors increased from 134 to 158, reflecting a growing interest in packaging the latest software and a stepping stone for those aspiring to become Gen 2 developers. Financially, the Gen 2 Foundation remains robust with a healthy balance of $101,000 as of July 1st, 2023. Most of its income comes from individual donations, reflecting the community's strong support. So I thought that's pretty cool. Like, you don't hear a lot about Gentoo, or it's used often as a kind of joke because it takes forever to compile things. But I think the fact that maybe because computers are more powerful now, you can do a lot more things, with a lot less effort. I wonder if that's part of the reason for the increased interest in Gentoo. Or maybe people are using more like unique hardware with ARM. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm spitballing here. But with ARM, you have to compile a kernel specific, or you have to compile. The binary has to be specific to the hardware. So I wonder if that's part of the reason too. It's a better avenue for getting the binaries you need for the specific hardware you have. So,
and in regards to the last story, I just looked it up. Ring Basic is 39 USD, fixing to go up to 49 in March, 100 for Plus, or 200 a year for Pro. They're all yearly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
See, the low end is actually pretty reasonable, really.
Yeah, the 39 is.
You just muted yourself.
Oh, I said the basic is just for one doorbell, plus is for, one or more. If you have like two, front and back door, the plus plan will cover that for $100 USD.
Yeah, that's good to know. Does anybody here compile Gentoo themselves? Has that been something? It seems like that's one of those things that it's part of the Linux journey. You got to, at some point in time, do a Gentoo installation.
No,
thanks.
No patience for that. Not even Arch.
I've done it a few times before. I've had my run-ins with Gentoo over the years.
And the closest I get to Gentoo is Chrome OS, I should say.
No, I imagine encountering servers where they were managed by a Linux consultant that installed Gentoo everywhere, and the servers hadn't been updated in like 3 or 4 years.
I remember that story. Yeah, that's a good one. See, those things are probably good and vulnerable.
The file server VM had to be hard powered off every day and forcibly reset. Otherwise, it would just lock up.
Well, it seemed like that'd be a quick fix. Ultimately, replacing that with something more modern, easier to manage.
I would have rather taken a toaster as a bath bomb at that point.
Yeah, it'd smell nice, right? The sizzling and the cracking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, besides Gentoo being like, when you install Gentoo, it's meant to be a lot more efficient for the computer. I don't know if that really counts these days, but besides probably you just like to use Gentoo, is that really relevant today? Because computers are fast enough in itself, aren't they, to be honest?
The Gentoo users that I find out there are still either they have a hang up with using systemd, like they think systemd is evil.
Right.
So
Right.
they say, no, I don't want that, or I want to have the right to pick my DHCP client because people care about that. Or there may be other ideological choices they make along the way. But the amount of money you would have to spend on hardware to really get out of Gentoo what you want doesn't line up with the performance gains. To your point, Colin, hardware has advanced to the point where it's really not worth the investment of dollars or power to spend all that money to build a 64 core machine, pick a Threadripper, put 128 gigs of RAM in it, take 64 gigs of that, turn that into a RAM disk for portage so that it can compile as fast as humanly possible. There's just nothing to really gain from that at this point other than administrative overhead.
I suppose people have their reasons, and that's fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's something I would ever try. I mean, we did do many years ago with Rocco the Arch Linux install from scratch, so we did that, and that was quite fun. But besides that, I don't think I really need. I just like to. These days, I think I've changed my habits. I just like to use the computer. I don't like to go messing around too much. But this is why I'm doing all these scripts and stuff on Arch Linux to make my Arch life easier.
Mm-hmm.
And through doing that, it actually helps me understand the operating system a bit more as well. So I think there's a twofold situation going on there, but I just find it interesting. I like that side of the tinkering, where you can actually see things happen that you've actually created and watch it happen is somewhat satisfying, and also a learning experience as well. So, and you're still doing it all on your main system. So that's all good. But yeah.
I can't look at it sort of, when I was younger and I got my first car, I worked on that thing all the time. I'd replace the starter, the alternator. I'd do all kinds of work on the thing. My first car was carbureted. Not that matters, but anyway. And so like I worked on my cars quite a bit. I had to save money, change the brakes. It was easy to change the brakes. It wasn't that hard to do. Now it's like, maybe I'll change my oil if I feel like it this time, but I can also just go to the Quickie Lube and let them do it. It's like, what do I want? Do I want to get dirty? Put on my grubbies, and I mean, I got a great shop over here. I can do all that, but it's like, I can do that, or I can do other things. And so I don't know. I kind of feel like Linux is the same way. There was a point in time when it was fun to get down and dirty with it and do all kinds of real, difficult things. Now I just change the oil on it or whatever when I feel like it.
Well, I've always, something I've always wanted, like I've been working on this Cinnamon desktop. So as I told you last week, Nate, I was watching a lot of Eric Dubois' videos, and one thing he taught me was how to have your own repository, local on your computer. So what I've done is I've managed to, I don't know if you call it compiling, but from the AUR you get the make packages, and you get to the point where you install it, but you don't install it, but you just grab it from the cache, and then you got your make package files. And so I've been doing a lot of that, and there's some packages in Linux Mint, the Z or XEd or the X apps they're called, that don't, that are not installed on Cinnamon desktop in Arch. So I've managed to compile the little store and the repo and get those packages put into Cinnamon desktop and have my own Linux Mint type Arch Cinnamon desktop. So it's just something that I find interesting to do, and always thought it was good to have a Cinnamon desktop that looks a bit like Linux Mint, but it was just a challenge. I suppose you could put it down at the end of the day, and I've managed it. So it's his videos are really good to show you how to do stuff like that. So I might even make a couple of videos about it myself, to be honest, when I get a chance, if I ever get a chance.
Well, I know things are pretty crazy for you right now.
Yeah.
So it makes me think, I'm not sure why I started thinking about that when you brought that up, but the application X eyes? Remember that one where you could have the eyes would follow your mouse cursor around?
Oh, yes.
So there really isn't a Wayland version of that, and I'm not sure that it's really needed, but those fun toys are what made early Linux a lot of fun, or Unix for that matter. So I hope that there's a way.
Yeah, there was the little Tux penguin used to walk around in your window. Remember that? Used to
that
walk
was
around
fun too. Yeah.
I
wonder if that'll work in Wayland. It might. I don't know.
Waytux. Way penguin.
Whichever. I don't know. I'll take it. All right. So I think we have time for one more. So Microsoft is now a $3 trillion company. Microsoft is the second company after Apple to reach the $3 trillion market cap, the $3 trillion market cap. So according to The Verge, Microsoft has reached this market cap of $3 million. The first time in its 48-year history, it's the second company after Apple to reach the milestone valuation in stock. And Microsoft has climbed 1.5% in trading on the NASDAQ on Wednesday. And Apple first hit the $3 trillion mark 2 years ago, more than a year after it surpassed the 2 million mark in 2020. Microsoft and Apple have been trading places for the world's most valuable company in recent weeks, with Microsoft briefly overtaking Apple earlier this month. And that was back in January. So I don't know where it is right now, but golly, that's a lot of dollars for a company. Are they still saying they heart Linux, or has that kind of gone away?
They heart money.
They heart money. That's true.
So there's a lot of talk now about Windows 11 that people are saying it's up until certain CPUs, they're not going to support those anymore. I can't remember at what point that was, but do we hear this story every year? Is this a real thing? I mean, how
Yes.
old does the computer have to be?
So
Yeah.
not all 7th generation are supported. I know because I've had to I had to look online to see if I can get it to work. And with essentially the cybersecurity requirements for that's required with my employer, we have to phase out anything that can't take Windows 11. So anyway, those machines will have to go away.
And they reckon AI is going to be a big thing on Windows 11 too, which is why those computers probably won't be strong enough to probably run that sort of thing.
Could be.
That's what I heard. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I have more to do with like security, like TPM module and some other factors. You can actually
the TPM module. Okay.
You can actually get Windows 11 to run on older hardware, but it's going to be a bit of a wild ride.
Yeah, I've done it already.
It may or may not.
I've done it on
continue to work.
Yeah, I've done it on my nephew's laptop. It's working, but whether it stops working or not, I don't know. But
right,
still going anyway.
Cat and mouse game.
Yeah, because they make it harder. Because it used to be easy to get around the install when it comes to actually it tells you that you can't do this. You can't. There's a few commands you can run before you start the installer, but I think Windows 12, I think they're talking about, is going to make it a lot harder again to get around those things.
Well, I'm sure
somebody will probably come up with a workaround. But
so the way I see it, it's I don't understand like why I want AI in the whole desktop. I can understand like AI functions within certain applications. Maybe like but like for instance, like Nextcloud, they have an AI function with their email client or email system that it can actually, if you have like a thread of emails, you can have it like give you a summary of all that information, and that would be valuable. Summarizing information, but like just willy-nilly throwing AI here, there, and everywhere. I mean, I already don't like it when my computer thinks it's smarter than I am and does things for me, because it's usually wrong. And so I don't need a more pernicious machine learning to get other things wrong, I guess is where I'm at with that. But I mean, I guess what do I know? We have all kinds of agents running our Linux systems right now monitoring specific things, so maybe something to give a nice summation of what's going on, that'd be valuable, I suppose. But not if it's making decisions. If it's just telling you things, that's one thing. If it's making decisions, I'm not cool with that. So Joseph brings something up in the chat. Spiral Linux. It says Spiral Linux Budgie is a hidden gem. Hardly anyone knows about it. Seems superb. So Spiral Linux and Gecko Linux are by the same developer. So there's like, you can basically do like an OpenSUSE or Debian version of the same kind of build of things. So if, but I've talked to the developer quite a few times. And he's actually been on Linux Saloon in the past. It's he does a superb. I think it's a superb project. So certainly check it out. I think Spiral Linux is a great way to experience Debian or OpenSUSE and Tumbleweed. Then it'd be Kiko Linux, but anyway, from the same developer. So something to think about.
He does a good job of eliminating scope. He doesn't take on too much. Everything's in the repos.
Yep.
He just customizes the experience.
Right, exactly. He kind of takes the pain out of the installation process, getting all the codecs and all the, like kind of polishing any rough edges that are on there from his perspective. Welp, it is about that time. So, for last call, not closing time because we don't have the rights to play that song, or even to hum it,
Time.
or to think it. You can't think it either. If you think it, you get a content strike. So, Ron, it's nice of you to join. I don't know if you had anything that you want to share with the class before, maybe about the wonderful world of Canada that you live in.
Other than the fact it's bloody cold.
Yes.
I think I've got -8 or -9 C right now. Nothing much. Just been bloody busy. Been totally out of the world of Linux for, I don't know, 2-3 weeks.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, yeah.
It happens.
I'm playing catch up now.
Oh, good. Well, I think it's one of the.
Glad to be here, though.
I'm glad you're here. Glad you made it. Yeah, that's one of the things about life. I think is you get the those times when your ability to play kind of goes away for a while, and
I'm at that age now. My kids are like 30 and 26. My kids. Yeah, yet life is a lot busier. I mean, I don't do too much at work, I don't think, but yet it seems to consume a ton of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I understand. I know my kids are. Well, we just had a couple of birthdays. We have another birthday in a couple of days, but yeah. So they're like, my youngest is now 9. And it's been like almost a decade since he was born. It doesn't seem like it should be that long, but yeah, it's just I don't know things. And although they're more self-sufficient, it's like the scope of your work is shifting. It's not becoming necessarily less, but actually becoming about the same but more complicated, I guess. And that's more or less what it is.
And I think I'm almost afraid I'm becoming a very nosy advisor. I need to advise all the time. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. I guess I'll have to wait for somebody to tell me. But
well,
yeah.
Well, I guess figure that out, and then you can share it with the class later.
Exactly.
Well, thanks again for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Colin, I guess you're getting ready to move again.
Yeah, getting there, getting close. Yep, just sorting things out, cleaning things up and all that sort of thing, just to move out. So hopefully they give me my bond back, not make up any nonsense excuses.
They will.
Yeah, of course they will. That seems to be the go these days. And besides that, yeah, I've got kids too. Mine are 27 and 23, Ron. So, and I find life as you get older, like I'm still working the same hours as I always have been. And as I'm getting older, I find that the days are shorter because you're tired quicker and you lose focus quicker. Whereas when right up to about 55, I was fine. After 55, that focus just starts to get less and less in the evening. So you find that you're more tired a lot quicker and you just can't bounce back as the same as what you used to. So I find that's why I've been struggling to do videos and that lately too, because I just don't have the focus during the week to be able to do that. So, I'm going to bed. I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, so I'm going to bed. I used to be able to stay up till 10:30, 11 o'clock. Now it's like 8:30. I'm out of there.
Oh, wow.
I can't focus much after that. So it's one of those things. Life just catches up with you, and you find that even though you think you got more time as you get older because you're not focusing on the kids and that as much anymore, it just seems as though you don't have as much time because you're too tired to be able to deal with it all. So
I think I'm just too busy dealing with all my distractions.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's true. yeah, the distractions come into it too.
I love them to death, but take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Colin, I'm sure also like the fact that you're kind of in a transient state, that probably applies another level of stress too. So maybe like once
it does, yeah.
Once you're past that transient state, you're probably going to be a renewed sense of focus, probably.
Yeah, I just need to get into my home that I own, that nobody can tell me what I can do. And then I'm actually looking forward to this home because Bill was talking earlier about all these cameras and stuff. My home, I paid a bit of extra money to have everything wired right throughout the home, which I've never had before. So this will be absolutely awesome. I haven't got cameras getting put in, but they will be, the wires will be there. Just need to get someone to put them in, or myself, whatever. But then I have to figure out how I'm going to use those on the TV, or do I record and all that sort of stuff. So that'll be all new to me as well. But yeah, definitely wired internet right throughout the home will be good. I just find Wi-Fi just sucks lately. Just every time somebody's using Wi-Fi here, I find I have to change to the 5G channel rather than use the 2.4, and then somebody turns it off and then I have to change back again. It's like, I never used to have these problems.
Check out and see if your router supports band steering, which will steer your clients towards the 5 gigahertz network over the 2.4.
Right. Is that what the problem is it? Yeah.
Could be, because
notice a big change.
There's a at least here in the States, there's a rule regarding 2.4 gig networks, and that is that the fastest speed that all the devices can connect to is capped at the slowest speed of any of those devices.
Right.
So what I have done is never go by what I do in my home network. I'm a network guy by trade, and therefore what I do is insane. So take what you want out of this. But what I did is I took all my IoT devices, I hid the SSID, and I put those radios as 2.4 only. My internal SSID is only 5 gigahertz.
Right.
So I keep my IoT traffic separate than my internal traffic, and so those are separated not just by SSID and subnet, but also by frequency. Now, if you don't have that ability, you can tell your router if it supports band steering, which most of them do now. If a device wants to connect at 5, prefer that it connect at 5, and you'll find that you'll avoid a lot of issues. And also, if you're in like an apartment building, do a scan and check and see if anybody near you is sharing the same 2.4 channel that you are. That's a common problem that I run into, is when I'm deploying Wi-Fi at a business or at a school or anywhere else, I'll check and make sure. I'll manually set the 2.4 gigahertz channels and let 5 automatically configure.
That's interesting.
I should check that out. I think, yeah, I'll check my routers out too. See,
Yeah,
I don't really have much issue.
I think at 2.4 gig, a default is channel 6. I've set mine at 11 just to get out of that middle band, and that seems to work.
Yeah, and if you have multiple devices, set the channels far apart. Use channel 1 and channel 11 if possible.
Yeah, otherwise there's a bit of a crosstalk almost.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting, actually, because I have got an app on the phone that checks out all the channels and that tells you, what the signal strength and everything is as well for different channels as well. Is it? Does the signal strength matter for channels as well? I think it does, doesn't it? Is that right?
Well, you don't want to run over somebody else's channel, and you don't want to yours.
Yeah, I think the signal strength is the same, but if you have multiple providers out there, like multiple routers using the same channel, you'll experience noise. So yeah, the noise being somebody else's traffic.
All right.
I did a pretty draconian thing at my neck of the woods. to make sure everyone has a reasonable amount of bandwidth, which is to take a peek at their MAC address and lock them down to maximum speed. And yeah.
My boss did that with his kids. So his kids have their own SSID, and they are restricted by speed and by schedule.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, full disclosure, we're a Ubiquity shop where I work, and so all of us have Ubiquity devices at home, and we've got crazy Ubiquity networks. That I'm 9 subnets at my house, so don't go by what I do, but. Yeah, it's a little over the top, but there are ways that you can easily deal with those weird 2.4 gig issues, because there are some devices that will only work on 2.4 gig, and so I kind of shove them onto their own SSID that only does 2.4, and everybody else goes on the 5, and that generally allows those faster devices to operate at the fastest speeds possible.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. So I have 77 clients on my Wi-Fi.
Your home Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I've got like 52 here, so that tracks.
I have 11.
I just checked the my Aruba.
Is that all your light switches and stuff? Is it? Is that included?
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
There's this protocol called Zigbee. You should take a look at it.
I should actually, for another time. Oh, Chris, I'm really glad you made it again.
Yes, and I just wanted to say, follow up to last week. Filed my taxes today. Easy.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it costed a fortune, but yeah. Yeah.
They charge you money for them taking your money, so.
Yeah. They do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Just scan the documents, send them in, then somebody calls you at a set time, and then they go over some stuff, and then they sent me to, a rep or to a tax person that's here in the state, and she did them while we were on the phone. It only took like an hour for her to type everything in, So, like I said, I wasn't expecting to pay $200 and something, but
What can you do?
God bless.
I've been involved with an issue with Canada Revenue Agency since August, where they basically initiated something called an examination, not an audit, because my family made a claim of $130,000 for medical expenses. And I go, what? How's that happening? And it turned out that the tax preparer, instead of doing 1301.00, did 130100. So yeah.
Oh.
Oops.
The domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
So many departments involved. Nobody talks to you. Nobody seems to know what the other party is doing. And even it's now February. We're still trying to get it resolved because all these auto mailings would come saying, you're in collections. I go, that's nice.
Ooh.
Please give me $4,800. And I'm going, no, I won't do that. But it's accruing interest on a monthly basis or weekly, whatever it is. I go, nope, not going to do that. You'll resolve it at your end. It's my tax preparer's error, but the error has been clarified, I guess, to one department, and the rest not so much. It's fun. It's like a Monty Python sketch, I guess, or I don't know. It's like Brazil. I need to go watch Brazil again. It's nothing to do with Monty Python, but yeah. Sorry, Gilliam.
So I would say I would say to your situation, well, that's fantastic.
What was it you said at the beginning? You missed it by this much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Missed it by this much.
Yep.
Yeah.
A decimal place off by 2.
Yeah. Yeah, that's was it Office Space? Yeah.
What is that called? P-back problem between user and keyboard or something like that?
Keyboard and chair.
Oh,
Yeah.
Pepcac, yeah.
Pepcac.
Yeah. That's it. By putting the decimal in the wrong spot.
Oops.
Yeah.
Kind of fat fingered that one.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It happens. Well, anyway, thank you, Chris, for being here. I hope you can join us again next week. It's good to have you.
Will do. Thank you.
Jinda,
Yes,
how goes it?
it goes.
Yeah.
It definitely goes. Where? I have no idea.
Yeah. Kind of one of those Jesus take the wheel moments. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, usually is close your eyes, hold my beer, and watch this.
Yeah. Wait, who closes whose eyes?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Well, I'm glad you were here. Much
Thank you
appreciated.
so much. It was so much fun.
Fantastic. Eris, thank you for being here. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Nate.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, Bill, I think Neil's probably out, I'm guessing. Didn't make it.
Nope, I'm still here.
Oh,
Hi.
okay.
He's here. No, I'm just petting the dog.
It's just my eyes have been hurting for hours, so I just like not really.
I understand. I totally understand. Well, thank you both for being here. Appreciate it. It's nice having some insight from the Neelosphere and the Billosphere. So it's fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. And then
Always a pleasure.
Oh, good. For me, it's always a lot of fun. And then Cruz, all the way from sunny Jamaica. Appreciate you being here as well. Although I think Dr. Linux is more of a fun name.
Gotcha.
Yeah, man. Jamaica, man. Jamaica me crazy.
It was a Weird Al song. It was funny. Anyway. Yeah. Look that. There was I think 2003. One of the albums. I'll have to look it up. Anyway. Well, thank you so much for being here, Cruz. I hope you are able to join again next week as well. So.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, I didn't see Steve tonight, but he maybe he was here. But
he was there.
Oh, he was.
He was in chat. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Don't know if he's still there. Hang on, let me add him.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, he's still there apparently.
Okay, well, good. Maybe he drifted off to sleep in his rocking chair.
he's at the computer.
Yeah.
He's sleeping. He has got a thing out because I've seen him upload his what's the name ready for tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning,
you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
So tonight for you. So Steve's very own. He does a live every. Oh, he says I've been here. Okay, good. Every Sunday or nearly every Sunday. Last few Sundays anyway. Last several Sundays. All year I think he's been there. 8:15 a.m. Central. He does a show. It's I think his. I forget what I saw. He called it something different today, when I saw it, like ramblings or meanderings. Anyway.
Yeah, it's not Linux anymore, is it? Not completely Linux. Anyway.
There's still some Linux flavorings. He doesn't completely.
Because there's still
Linux.
coffee though.
Maybe there's a lack of coffee, and that's the problem. I don't know. But you can check out tomorrow morning. Steve's very own. He'll be live. And then Linux User Space is a great podcast. I didn't get an update on them from what they're doing this week, but make sure you check it out. They do if you have not heard the history on the KDE, that was fantastic. I really appreciated it, and it was a very long episode, and I didn't actually know it went back that far. So it's really one of the OGs, I suppose, when it comes to the Unixy desktop environments. So anyway, check that out, linuxuserspace.show. I'm on a podcast on Linux Out Loud. I think we just published one this past week. So I have two fantastic co-hosts, Matt and Wendy. And yes, I did say Matt's fantastic, but that's just between you and me.
What? I'm going to have to tell him you said that.
No, actually, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. He doesn't listen to this anymore.
No, his head will swell if he's...
Yeah. Now he'll think I'm like, I think I'm dying or something, so I don't want him to think that. But anyway, so check out that at Linux Out Loud. It's a fun podcast. I enjoy doing it. I have a website
I've
called...
guest hosted one a couple times. I love it.
Yes. It's always fun when you show up. You probably should have shown up last time. So actually, Matt was out. He had something disrupting his ability to be there. It's just Wendy and I, but it was kind of a last-minute thing.
You can always ask me.
I messed up there. I have a website called cubiclenight.com. I've just published a couple of things there recently, and I think I did some issues I had with the with OpenSUSE and crossover Linux. It's a minor thing. I got just a quick solution for it to make it work because it uninstalled itself, which was fun. And then I also have an article about a very simple command, du, for finding out how much disk space a particular folder uses. So you can search. I had to find some folders where something was eating up a bunch of data on a server that had no GUI, and so I was able to find it using du, kind of scanning through the drives, and worked out well. And it's a command that's installed by default everywhere, and I didn't know about it, or I forgot about it, and so rather than I forget about it again the next time I need to use it, I decided to write a little article so I can refer back to it later. So that's actually really why I have my website. Pretty much notes to me. Linux Saloon is part of the Tux Digital Network, so check out more great shows at tuxdigital.com. I want to thank you all for your support, however you do it, being a part of the conversation, both the Zoom meeting as well as YouTube stream. And for everyone who watches the show after the fact, thank you. I want to thank everyone involved in making the Linux open source tools possible for us not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back in a personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yous.
Bye.